Welcome to the channel, and this is going to be a little bit of a somber topic, but even though we are a travel channel, something happened to me about a month ago where I was completely scammed out of all of the funds in my crypto wallet. And it's been a subject that I wasn't sure I wanted to upload for the world to see. There's obviously some trauma involved and some shame involved, but when I realized and reflect on what happened, how it transpired, sophistication and the complexity of how it all went down still astounds me how good these people are getting. And I am not feeble-minded, I'm college educated, I've been in business, and I'm not one to be easily scammed. And so I wanted to be transparent with the world, with you, especially our subscribers, because a lot of you are like me, either nearing or in retirement age, where unfortunately we're just a target for these scams. And this one blew me away, and they took a lot of money. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you the details of what happened, how it happened. I'm going to provide screenshots from my computer, from my phone as it was happening, and the aftermath. And most importantly, please stay to the end of this video, because I'm going to share with you what I've learned and some very important tips and some resources that you can go to if you are finding yourself in the same position at a later time, or if you've been scammed. There's places that you can go to that can hopefully be of some help. So thanks for joining me and listening to this very important topic. We are Dennis and Min. Come join us on our traveling adventures around the world. What I also want to share is that if you have any kind of wallet in PayPal or Apple Pay, this is just not targeted for people that have had or have crypto wallets somewhere. The way this went down, I believe, maybe with the exception of a Charles Schwab or a bank account, that would be a little bit trickier. But the way that this went down, the way that they just took out everything from my wallet could happen, I believe, in those same wallets under the same circumstances. So stick with me and I'm going to share with you the details. So I'm making this video right now in Portugal, where we just had the country's worst ever storm in recorded history last week. And even today it's very, very windy a week later. So I apologize for any wind noise that you might hear in the background. But Portugal is also on the cusp of introducing an EU digital wallet. And that's a little bit of a concern for me based on just what transpired, because my entire digital wallet was just eviscerated, evaporated, gone like that. And I take full responsibility for it. And again, I'm going to share with you what happened and what I learned and what I can share with you to make sure that this does not happen to you in the future. So a little history. I got introduced to crypto through a friend of a friend, about a little over 4 years ago. And it sounded exciting. And so Min and I, we invested in various crypto, like, maybe half a dozen crypto at that time. To us, it was just like going to Vegas, gambling. If we make some money from this thing, great. So we didn't invest our entire savings. We just decided to put in as much as we could afford to lose. And as I mentioned, with this recent scam, it was extremely complicated, sophisticated, and they got me. They got me good. And I'm not going to say the exact amount. It wasn't enough to buy a house by any means, but it could definitely have bought a very, very nice car. So does it hurt? Yeah. Does it sting? Yeah. Was there some trauma the first couple weeks after it happened? Absolutely. And for the first week after, I was just in really like this state of shock, constantly reflecting back on the details of what happened and how it happened. And again, I'm going to explain a lot of that coming up here very shortly. But with that also, I came to learn that there is a lot of psychological trauma when you've been scammed. And I can assure you that when you hear about people that are scammed, don't be quick to judge. Don't think that, oh, that person's so stupid. How could they be so dumb? These scammers, there were two of them, were so good. I mean, I really have to give them credit because they got me so good. I thought for sure they were on my side and they were genuinely trying to help me. That's how sincere and genuine they came across. So we invested this amount of money into crypto. And of course, maybe like you, for those of you that might have crypto, we've seen it go up and down, the rise and fall of Bitcoin and all of that. And so after 4.5 years, we were, almost to the point, if we could just break even and have everything get back to where we would at least cover ourselves, we would get out. So we did have those conversations because, we just thought things would be a little bit more stable after 4.5 years with the whole crypto industry. And so we had our reservations. So we were just waiting for it to go up. And then we were going to make this call about whether we just pull everything out or not. So that's how we got introduced to crypto, and we kept everything in the crypto.com wallet. I don't know about you folks, but for me, I get phishing attempts almost daily. I get calls pretty much daily, sometimes multiple calls a day that are all scams. And when they're scams, I mean, most of them are very, very obvious. I've also been a victim of fraud when people have been fraudulently using my credit cards. So like you, I've had to cancel credit cards, deal with PayPal. Somebody had gotten into our account, taken money out. And fortunately, I've been able to get back, a lot of these funds that had gone missing with the help of their security departments and their fraud departments. So I've dealt with these departments both with Google, but also with PayPal. And I know how these people talk and what it's like talking to these people. And they definitely want to try to help and get as much information from you to try to get the bad guys. So that's how these two guys came across to me. And again, I'm going to get into the specific details, so I'm going to get there. So please stay with me, but I just want to give you the backdrop here. But I want you to know that I've been exposed to people in fraud departments and these security departments. And really, nowadays, anything you log into, right, there's this two-factor authentication, right, where you either have Face ID, your thumbprint, or they send you a code to your phone, right, or to your email. You can't belong to any financial institution or pretty much any entity these days without having to verify you are who you are. And that's a good thing. And so I'm familiar with that process. It's frustrating. I lose patience. Like, God, this got to go through all this again. The reason I felt comfortable with these guys doing what they were doing is because they were sending me these verification emails and these verification texts to my phone. And these guys knew everything about me. They had all this information on me. So I'm going to take a deep breath here, and I'm going to provide you the exact details of what went down. So how this began was, like it most often does, is with an email or a phone call. And in this case, I got an email from Google. I just checked my phone, and we had a family get together. And so I just checked my phone. There was something from Google, but I didn't really pay much attention to it at the time. And then within about 20 minutes, I received a phone call saying that they were from the Google security or Google fraud department, and that somebody was trying to add an additional email onto my account, and if I was the one that had done that, and if I had authorized that. And I said no. And what's interesting is that they also had mentioned that they were trying to do this from a separate laptop device than what they had on record for me. And so they wanted me to validate this other device, and it was originating out of Virginia. And I don't know if there's any correlation at all, but like the day before, I'd gotten a scam call. I didn't answer it, but it was a call from Virginia area code that I didn't recognize, so I just hung up. I didn't say anything, but I get those, again, multiple times a day. So again, I don't know if that was kind of like setting things up to make me wonder about, how this all ties in together or not. But I told them no, that I didn't try to do that. And so they asked me to check my email, and sure enough, they had sent me this email with this other email that was trying to be added to my Google account. The guy was very friendly, very sincere, and not rushed in any way, shape, or form. Somehow, some way, I got onto a Google app, and went somewhere because he's directing me. I can't, I'm going back and forth between my phone and my laptop. And so it's all a blur to me now. But somehow, some way, I went into a Google app and there was this email and it asked me to authenticate this email or not, this other scam email. And so I said, no, I'm not authorizing this. He said, yeah, then you say you don't authorize. Okay, great. So he's walking me through this process. And is this your device? So I told the guy over the phone, no, this isn't my device. He said, yeah, say, no, it's not your device. Okay. So I did this on this Google app. And I can't remember, he might have even sent me a verification text or another verification email, which again, just added to the authenticity of it all. And so when he said that there was somebody trying to add their email account from this other device, I confirmed that yes, it's not me. And he said, do you know why somebody would be wanting to do that? I said, no idea. And he said, well, we engaged in they also contacted us via chat message, and they were asking something about wanting to update something on your crypto account. So they said, do you have any kind of a crypto account? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, oh, okay. So he sounded very concerned, and he said, okay, well, that's beyond what we can help you with now, but you've told us that this person trying to add their email account to your Google account is not you, so we're good on our end. But we do have a partner system with crypto.com because we've seen a rise in this fraudulent activity. And so you may want to talk to them, somebody from their department, to see if your account at crypto.com has been compromised in any way. And I said, okay, yeah, I'm totally open to that. And so I said, okay, no problem. He said, I will go ahead and contact them on your behalf, and I will have them call you at this number. Is that okay? And they can explain and let you know if there's been any interference, any compromise of your crypto account. I said, that would be fine. Great. So we hang up. And then about not even a minute goes by, and this other call comes in. So the second caller calls me, and again, both of these guys, it could have been two buddies that I grew up with in Southern California. There was no, Indian or Russian accent. No disrespect if you're Russian or Indian, but a lot of these scammers, they're from other countries, right? And they're foreigners, and but even if they're not, if they're American accents, there's just something you can tell that there's, something's a little off. There was nothing off with these guys. I actually think that one or both of them may have actually worked at Google or at crypto.com. So they're very familiar with their whole setup. It wouldn't surprise me at all. With this guy from crypto.com, he was also sending me verification text codes, and I'm repeating back to him. Also, there was one or more emails that I needed to verify, and he basically said that, because there was a chat session, it seemed like they had access. And then he's telling me what my date of birth is. He's telling me what my social security number is, my address, my phone number. I've got several email addresses. He mentioned two of them. So he wasn't asking me, and I'm sharing this information for him to validate. He's telling me, so these guys, they have everything on me. And it's really not too surprising because like we have to sign up for this and that, and you give them everything, right? And then they get hacked, and who knows who they sell that information to. So that's not too surprising. But once they have this information, it can be pretty frightening and scary. So there was this whole process from the Google conversation to the end of where my money was gone in my wallet was 90 minutes. So a lot of that is a blur. And so I can't even remember exactly what I did, but they were walking me through this process all along and guiding me as if they were there to help. Because at the end of the day, this guy from crypto.com had said, well, you can leave everything as it is, but it does seem like, there could be in the future some issue with your crypto account being compromised. And we do have another secure wallet that you can transfer your funds into. It's still a crypto.com wallet, and you can go ahead and just transfer everything over into that. And that's a much more secure way to keep your funds. So that sounded good to me, right? No, it was not a good idea. So I'm going to share exactly what happened with that. So he said to go to crypto.com, and there's a crypto.com on-chain wallet. So this is an actual app. This is a credible app from crypto.com. And if you just do crypto.com on your app store, it is one of the first 2 or 3 apps that shows up. So I thought, oh, okay, well, this has got to be legit because it's still crypto.com. And so with a lot of back and forth, he's guiding me through this process, and something like whitelisted this, something was going on. Terminology I was not familiar with, but this guy knew everything that I was seeing. So as things, before they even showed up on my phone or my laptop, eventually we're doing this from my phone. But before I was seeing anything, he was telling me what I was going to see, what was going to come up. And all along the way, he gave me the impression that he really wanted to help me secure my funds and try to get the bad guys. Along the way, there was that little thing in the back of my head thinking, like, what if it's not true? What if this guy's a scammer? So that's why I was taking some screenshots along the way from my phone, so I could, and a computer, just in case. But I think it's not going to be necessary because these guys really seem to want to help. So what happened then is I had to there was a pass key. So there was 12 words that were given to me on my phone that they could see. So somehow they were able to access my screen through all this back and forth, this and that, verifying this and that. They had access to my screen. It's the only way that I can explain it, because I received this code, these 12 words on my phone after uploading this crypto on-chain app. And so he said, don't tell me what those words are. Those are for you. That's your password. You need to write all those down. And you're going to be asked again in a little bit. I'm going to walk you through the process. You're going to have to put all those words on your phone into these fields. And I said, oh, okay. So that happened. So never once did he ask me for these words. Never once did I tell him a single word. And so we went through this process again with installing the app and doing something with my wallet. And then I went ahead and entered in these 12 words. And again, somehow, some way, he knew what those were. So instead of those funds of mine going from my crypto account into this on-chain account, somehow, some way, he was on his end diverting these funds out of my account into his somewhere in the universe. I don't know. And so he said it might take a few minutes to process it. I'm watching, and then I start seeing these emails come in through my phone, my laptop, that the transaction has been initiated and it's being processed. And then he says it might take a couple minutes, so just be patient. And I'm watching it. It's processing, the wheels going around on my phone, processing. And sure enough, every single one of my accounts now with crypto.com was showing up that this was in motion and that the transaction was complete. And as this is happening in real time, I'm going from my crypto.com account to the crypto on-chain account. And I'm saying, I don't see anything in this on-chain account. He said, oh yeah, I know. He said, that will, as I mentioned before, he said, I mentioned that before, and he did, reminded me, it takes a few minutes for it to show up in there. And then next thing you know, after everything was confirmed, gone, he hangs up. I tried calling him back, no. But I'm going to show you the screenshots here, if I haven't already, of their emails and their phone numbers that they were calling from and how legitimate it actually was. And so then I was frantic. Then I went into absolute panic mode because, yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's not our life savings, but it was still a lot of money to us. And yeah, it hurt. I'm going to share with you some things that I've learned from this process and how you can protect yourself, and provide some details in the description below from these agencies that can help you in the event that this kind of thing should happen to you. So as I'll show you again, these emails, these phone calls looked like they were legitimately coming from Google and crypto.com. Another interesting thing is I didn't notice this until later, but the time frame, like the time of the emails, was coming in about 7 hours later Okay, it was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and it was like 1, 2 in the afternoon the next day. So that's when these guys were working their magic somehow. But so that time zone actually lines up with Singapore, which apparently is where crypto's headquarters are, which makes me think that like this could be an inside job. Perhaps it wouldn't surprise me. These guys were so good and knew exactly what they were doing. Obviously, very computer proficient, much more than me. Knew all the steps and guided me in the most patient, sincere way. Like they were genuinely wanting to help me secure my funds. And there was never any pressure from them whatsoever. But again, that same time zone with Singapore could have been Hong Kong, could have been Australia, but they certainly weren't where I was, which was Hawaii at the time. And the other thing that I did right afterwards was called the local police in Honolulu and filed a report. So I mentioned I've taken these screenshots and, these accounts that they were coming from, the email accounts, the phone numbers, had crypto, Google names on them. So just, again, all seemed so legitimate. And what's interesting is that within an hour after this happened, those emails that they had sent to me were gone, just disappeared, vanished. So somehow, some way, after they sent me those emails, they were able to pull them back or delete them. Again, I'm not a technical computer guy. I don't know how that works. Yeah, so they're just trying to erase every and all evidence as much as possible. So a couple things that I've done to just safeguard myself from this ever happening in the future is I installed some malware on my computer and scanned my entire system, and there was nothing that came up as unusual. So if they did have any access to my computer or my phone, it was short-lived, thankfully. I also went ahead and contacted the 3 credit bureaus because what I'm concerned about now, of course, is identity theft. And so there's a way that you can sign up. There's a cost to this, of course, but it's nominal. And that way it kind of keeps these 3 credit bureaus on the alert if anybody is trying to open up a bank account, for example, in your name. They are alerted, so that way these things can be found out ahead of time rather than after the fact. So I'm also going to point out some agencies in the description below, as I mentioned, that can help you if this kind of situation happens to you in the future. In terms of these phishing emails, a couple of things I also just wanted to share with you that I've learned is that if you get an email that is suspicious, you'll notice that often at the very bottom there is going to be links like unsubscribe or contact us or about, right? And those links will, if you click on those from a real email, they're going to take you somewhere, right? Legitimate within that company's website. So often these phishing emails aren't that sophisticated where they don't go that far. So they show about or contact at the bottom or unsubscribe, but they're not links. You can't open them up even if you wanted to. So that's one telltale sign. Another thing is looking at their return address and your email address. Sometimes there's some clues in there that you can that can alert you that it's a phishing. The most important piece of advice that I can give you if you get any kind of a phone call from any financial institution, any entity, whether it's Google or YouTube or PayPal, whatever the case might be, if you get any email, if you get any phone call, don't take any action. Just delete that email. Maybe don't delete it right away, but don't click on any attachment. This goes for if you get a text in your phone, if you get an email. But from this point on, if I get anything suspicious, and I recommend you do the same, is you call that institution, you call that company, that entity, and you contact their security or fraud department and you say, hey, is there anything I should know about? Is my account compromised in any way, shape, or form? Has anybody tried to contact you? And so that way, if there's any kind of an issue, they're going to tell you about it. But chances are, no, and everything's going to be just fine. So these scammers, I tell you, I've dealt with these people for so many years. I'm sick and tired of them, as I know you are. And I wanted to share this video, make this video because, I don't want you to have to go through the same thing. And thank God we didn't have our life savings or, again, we're going to get through this. It's, not an amount that is going to drown us. So thankfully, we're going to be fine. There's a lot of people, though, that literally do get taken for their life savings, and it just breaks my heart. I hope that this is something that you can take to heart, and note that you just need to call the companies where this is originating from, where you think that there might be an issue. Don't respond to the email, don't respond to the phone calls, just hang up. And if I would have done that, everything would have been fine. If I could have just said, you know what, I'm gonna call Google and straighten this out. I'm gonna call crypto.com and see if there's any issue. If I would have just done that, I wouldn't be making this video right now. But I am, and I hope it helps. So please drop me a comment and let me know if there's anything I might have missed, if this has happened to you, if there's any opinion or recommendations that you might have for trying to keep away from these scammers and how to find these scammers. So thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I promise you the next videos forthcoming will be on a happier travel note. Take care, happy travels.